Hey guys, how are you doing? It's Adam Godin, and thank you very much for joining a very special video. I haven't done a video in a while, and this topic comes up a lot. I'm a counselor and do the Reiki and healing, and relationship issues are really very prevalent. And I want to say the majority of times that people come to me that there is some relationship thing going on, even if it's not the main reason they're talking to me. But yeah, I mean, so it's very common, and one of those things that's kind of taboo to talk about and that I've noticed invokes pretty strong reaction, pretty strong visceral response. And the topic is, loving someone and love, and so there's a lot of dating advice that goes involved. I happen to be pretty fluent in that. I've been around the block, been doing this for a long time, and I'd like to believe, and I pride myself in giving excellent relationship advice because it's all about understanding intimacy and the nature of relationship as a reciprocal union. And so, but the topic specifically that I want to talk about is feeling feeling a sexual attraction to other people who aren't your partner, other than your partner. And when I bring this topic up, many times I have male friends, I bring this up and I kind of say to them like, "Hey man, when you're in a relationship, you kind of just like ignore other girls and you don't really notice them, like, you don't like they don't excite you, like your girl, like it just at all." And it's very seldomly, and I'll be honest, it's very seldomly that I have a dude friend who understands what I'm talking about. It's like they look at me like I have four heads. They're like, "What?" So and so a lot of common reaction that I would have is it's inevitable. It's inevitable you'll feel this sexual attraction, to other people. That's absolute inevitability, feigned as a fact. And a lot of this video is about, what I wanted to, intended to communicate is that, you know, we always make projections of human nature or how people think. We make assumptions of how people think based on us, based on our life experiences, based on our life experiences. If we have a lot of life experience with this, we're gonna think this way about a certain thing. But if you have not experienced something, you're going to reject it because it's not a feeling foreign to you. And so an example I like to use is that, imagine there's this guy that, hates marijuana. Imagine he smoked it once, right? Like he smoked it one time. It was a, very energetic, heady strain. He like, had a panic attack. He was freaking out, turned into a sketch ball. The ambulance went by and he thought it was the cops and he hid underneath the desk of the college frat party or whatever, So like, because he thinks that this is how marijuana makes you feel because he smoked it once. He smoked it once, so he's saying, "Oh, weed is so bad. It made me do this, made me do that." Yeah, dude, but that's just you, and that's just one strain. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, think of it conversely. That what if that same dude went to that college frat party, smoked some bud, and it was an indica, right? Like it calmed him down and chilled him out. Let's say it was the first time in his life he didn't really truly feel that physical anxiety, and he felt great. Now he would have a completely different opinion of marijuana because that would be part of his life experience, and be more likely to consume more in the future, much more significantly more likely if you had a positive experience, right? So I think that we can only relate to things that we've personally experienced. We have it's I believe it's human nature to reject, to outright reject and deny certain experiences that you feel like you can't personally relate to. So if you've lived in blackness your entire life, like you've never seen light, complete blackness your entire life, how are you just supposed to explain what seeing things is like? You know what I'm saying? Or so how do you explain that to someone? How do you explain if you've never seen grass and blue skies, and someone, I mean, just using this absurd example, but someone lives underground, right, and doesn't even see the sunlight? How do you explain that dude underground what it's like to be in the surface of the earth without actually experiencing it? It's not comparable. You may not even believe it. It's not going to sound, 'cause you can't relate to it. And yes, I realize it's kind of an absurd example, but sometimes absurd examples come in handy. Um, I love hyperbole. And so basically, I don't really get to the point because there's a lot of points I want to get to. But number one is, when we think of being in love, right? Like you can love someone, but to be in love, how could you say with a straight face that you are in love, right? Like you are in love with someone if you have the sexual desire for other people? And what I mean by that is that, like, if you are committed to a partner, right? Like the Greeks would say that we originally had four eyes and all these arms and legs, and that we complete each other. Like the whole point of love is to complete each other. So if you're completed, that means logically you have that need fulfilled. So if see, sexual intimacy is a very personal thing. If you have that for one person, if you and see, and especially what I really want to break down is that there's in love and intimacy, and you need both. If you want expect to be only attracted to your partner and no one else, you need both. You need to both be in love and have a strong intimacy. Because if it's one or the other, you may slip into these thoughts, and you know what? Maybe your wife isn't so attractive anymore. Maybe like a few years down the road, because you didn't fall in love with her spiritual essence. And I feel like so many people commit to relationships because of superficial things. Superficial things aren't a core component of their personality. And personality is what makes us a person. So I mean, if we fall in love with someone, it should be because they're a person and for their virtue of being a person, not because how they look. So and things like that. Miscellaneous, tertiary things that don't matter. That ultimately don't matter, and that will change. And that we all, so many times, people will fall in love with these characteristics with people, but they change. And then so if you're not in love with this person who's changed, I mean, let's put it this way: at a core level, we never change. You know what I'm saying? Like, look at an astrology chart, and look at our natal chart. And a fundamental level, our souls never change. But the life experiences that we accumulate throughout our lives that shape our worldview do change, and our spiritual evolution does change. If I was as spiritually evolved as I was when I was 5 years old, then needless to say, I would not be doing this video right now. So what I really want to say is that you know, if you are in a relationship with someone you love, I'm going to just explain something. I think that when I have asked these questions to people and raised the topic people in internet forums like Reddit, and Quora.com. I want to get a gauge of what guys felt, because I want to know if I was the only guy. Obviously, I'm not the only guy, because from my standpoint, I'm thinking if I'm a dude and this is how I feel, there must be many other dudes who feel this way, right? So I asked this question on Reddit. Lo and behold, almost no men can relate to this experience. And I was pretty horrified, and it made me wonder, and made me dig, why is this? Why is this? And so I thought, I'm not just this special person. How is it that I have feelings for only my partner, and guys, like almost every guy, cannot relate to this? What is it about me? What makes me so special? Because I am certainly not a saint. Like, why is it me? How come I am like this and so many guys aren't? And I made me realize that, well, who am I? Where is my spiritual evolution? I mean, I'm a healer. I'm a professional healer. I'm a very, very, very spiritual person. That's always been part of my identity from day one. With my mother being an astrologer from day one of my birth, I've always grew up with that. I've always been an extremely spiritual person. And it made me think even more that when I was 18, I had a near-death experience. I died. I was clinically dead for 60 seconds, and I had a hellish near-death experience. I was buried alive. I was being attacked by demons. I went to hell. And this is something I don't usually reveal to people, but I think the trauma of it is largely past, and now it's mostly just a story that's worth reflecting on at this point. Because at this point, it was 11 years ago. So I feel like it's helpful for people to know this story. That when I died and I had that hellish near death experience, and I literally went to hell, and I saw my own funeral, my family, and a priest in my tombstone, and being taunted and being mocked, being told I'm dead, you're dead, and making fun of me for being dead. You know, after experiencing something like that, it really changes your perspective and how you see the world. And it was ever since that day that I became significantly more spiritual. It was a spiritual awakening. It was a spiritual awakening. And I think that you need a certain level of spiritual maturity to have healthy sex attitudes, which reflect and also stem from our sexual behavior. And what I mean by that is that I feel that you need to be spiritually mature to have a healthy sex drive, because in order to have a healthy sex drive, you need to have healthy attitudes towards sex and a moral person. And to have those things, you must be a very spiritual person. So, I mean, if I asked 1,000 guys this question, maybe like 5 guys would be like, "Oh yeah, right on. I'm like that with my girlfriend." So and who knew, so the fact that it's so rare, like almost no guys relate to my experience, I was very shocked. I could have sworn maybe about 20% of guys were like me. That if they're committed to someone, they don't notice other girls, like straight up. Like, and people will think you're lying. That it's so sad that You could tell someone in a public forum that you're not attracted to other girls other than your significant other and be genuine. Go out of your way to do that. Make an account, give you your anecdote. And people think it's more likely that you're BSing than even just accepting that it may be true that this is an experience from someone else. People who have not been in love will never ever accept this as true. And not only that, I was attacked. They thought me as a liar. They thought it was more likely I was a liar than just being genuine that I like my girl and no one else. I mean, when I realized that, it really changed my perspective on things. That there's so many people that they never challenge their spiritual growth. They never challenge it. That their spiritual maturity goes unchallenged, and they don't contemplate their life. They don't think about being a virtuous person. They don't think about being a better person. They just think, how am I going to pay the bills? They think about the relationships like everyone does. They think about, things, that are personal and things like that. But so often people don't just stop and examine themselves. And um, so if it's true that if it's a logical certainty, okay. So let me rephrase what I just said. What is sexual desire? Desire sexually. You desire someone sexually. So for people to say it's impossible. Like not even unlikely, not uncommon, impossible to not have sexual desire for anyone else but your partner. When I was reading these comments, I was I mean, quite frankly, I was disturbed. I mean, like I said, I thought I could have sworn there at least be a decent amount. You know what I'm saying? Like maybe like even if it's like 15%, 10%, like there'd be like a significant amount, like a fringe amount that would share my experience. That yeah, I only dig my girlfriend too. I'm not attracted to the girls. Like I'm just like you. What? Not barely any men were even saying that, and which was so bizarre to me. And the fact that they they say that it's impossible, that just goes to show that we don't think things are possible unless we've experienced them themselves. We deny that. We deny that. That it's human nature. And so, like people who have not been in love, people who have not been in love do not relate to what you're saying. They cannot possibly bring themselves to believe what you're saying. And I thought about it, why that may be, and I realized this. It's more convenient to choose. It's more convenient to choose to believe that you can't be only sexually attracted to your partner, because if you are sexually attracted to other people, it makes you feel like a better person. No one wants to feel like a shit person. No one wants to feel like a shitty person. It's cognitive dissonance. If they chose to believe that, yeah, it is possible that you're only to have sexual desire for your girl, if you accept that, it makes them feel like an asshole, quite frankly. And I told my audience I pull a swear word here and there, and this is the video. So you're watching the right video if you're waiting for me to the right time for me to swear, because this would be a great topic for curse words. Sometimes they just amplify words like nothing else. Anyway, so let me explain to you what it's like to be in love, okay? Like when you're in love, like if you're single, let's say you're single and ready to mingle, right? And you're like a sexually active person. If you're walking down the grocery store, if you see a good looking man or woman, if you're a man or and you see this women and let's say they're wearing revealing clothing, right? Like they're wearing clothing like they're dressed provocatively. And beyond that, I mean, women can dress however they want. Beyond just dressing provocatively, just their appearance itself. I mean, their facial structure, just things like that, like physically, objectively beautiful. But the point of this video is not that you don't you don't find people attractive. You don't find people attractive. Like I find the Mona Lisa a very attractive picture. That does not mean I want to have sex with the Mona Lisa. I mean, if the security guards couldn't get me fast enough. So, what I'm saying is, there's a big difference between appreciating beauty or having, to to acknowledge that something is attractive. To acknowledge something is attractive. I may acknowledge this hockey player is a great hockey player, but I still may think he's a shit person. I still may think it's beautiful. So if some person's beautiful, doesn't mean I want to be with them. That does not want to be down with them. So I'm not saying that when you're in a relationship, you shouldn't acknowledge other people are attractive, because some people are just objectively better looking. It's just their facial structure. It's the way they look. That you can't deny that. I mean, I'm not like If I see, I mean, I can tell if someone's ugly, for example. You know what I'm saying? And when I say that, I don't mean that in a mean way, but there are objective measurements of attractiveness that have been decided by psychologists when you see it through that context. And that, ugly is an ugly word, right? Ugly is an ugly word, but take it for what it's worth. It's just, for when they do tests like these, they've done multiple tests on human physical attractiveness, and some people just are objectively less attractive, and that's just a fact of life. And but attractiveness is not everything, not even close. But that's completely different than having a sexual attraction to someone, meaning that you, in a sexually charged way, you are attracted to them. And the fact that so many people are in denial and think that's impossible is so disturbing to me that I'll explain what it's like to be in love. I'll turn it over again. I kind of ditched the public square. I'll spin it around in a different way. When you're single, you will notice like cleave and butts. And if you're a woman, well, be honest, if you're a woman, you'll be able to appreciate a good looking guy if you're single, right? Like if you're single, sexually active woman, there's a gorgeous guy, you will see that guy and you'll be like, damn, he's pretty hot. I mean, not everyone, I don't mean to generalize, but generally speaking, both men and sexually active women can be attracted to people if they're single. Let's just put it that way. I hope that's not too controversial to say it like that. But so what I'm trying to say, I'll just try to cut to the point because I know I've been just going on a rant, but meaningful rant. But what I'm saying is that you don't notice. You don't notice other girls when you're in love, when you're in a relationship, when you're in love. Like that doesn't like there's a list of things you care about, you kind of care about, and you don't care about. Like other girls is literally like something you just like almost the very least thing you care about. It's just not something you notice. It's just not something you think about. It's not something you think about. You don't think about other women because your partner completes you. Your partner makes you complete. And the fact that so many people couldn't even fathom that it's possible that you can be attracted to one person, which to me is just so easy, which to me is like how could other people not feel like this? You know what I mean? Like I can't relate to their experiences. Like how could people not? Like if you're in love, if you're truly in love, it made me realize that how rare true love really is. Because I'm telling you, and this is gonna trigger a lot of people, but if you're in a relationship and you're sexually like, craving other men or other women, like, dude, like, why not just be single? Like, if you're sexually attracted to other guys or girls in a relationship, just be single because all that means is that you are committed to someone, but you want to have sex with other people. Maybe you won't act on it, but does it really matter if you act on it or if you don't? The fact that you actually want to, you know what I'm saying? That's that's the foundation that it stems from. You know what I mean? Like that precedes it. Like so, it's just so odd to me, and it was so bewildering to see. Like almost no one relates to what I was saying, but you just simply don't notice. You don't notice. Like butts and boobs blend into the environment when you're in love. Let's put it that way. They don't stick out of the environment. And that's something that people who have been in love completely understand. Completely understand. So many people have never felt that love. And so many people will say I'm a liar. Say I'm a liar, I'm in denial. Now, I'm very aware how people perceive me. I'm very perceptive. I know there's people watching this right now. They're thinking, oh, he went out of his way to make this elaborate video to convince himself and to make believe that he's only attracted to his partner. Like, really? Like, you think I'm so self-serving? And, like, what a waste. I mean, frankly, that's something a loser would do. To go out of your way to like prove a point. See, a loser spreads misinformation. I'm a communication major. Like anyone who knows me knows that there's things I would consider loser moves. There's some things I consider loser moves. Spreading disinfo is a loser move. We will not do a disservice to men and humanity by just bullshitting. Excuse me. Well, okay, I already swore once. I can allow to do it again. This will be my curse word video. But so yeah, curse word kind of threw me off. But like, let's put it this way: science and psychology has proven that it's possible to be only sexually attracted to one person. And not only is being sexually attracted to one person not unrealistic, it's realistic. It's to be expected if you're in love. It'd be unusual if you were attracted sexually to other people if you were in love. Like that would be unusual. You know what I mean? Like I just don't understand how people don't understand this, and it's pretty disturbing. But I mean, it's like I said, it goes back to spiritual maturity. How many people actually have tried to spiritually advance themselves every day? And it's a rare thing to have. And so, but when I say science and psychology is proven, that you can be a sexually attracted to one person, no further than an asexuality, demisexuality spectrum. There are some people that intimacy precedes sexual desire. So, as a thought experiment, let's say someone's a demisexual and there's only one person they bond with. Then logically, it's 100% proof. If that's true, it's 100% proof that you can be sexually attracted to just your partner. It's a fact. And the fact that you say this and you're like attacked and they call you a liar, it just shows the state of the world and the state of culture. And so, what I really want to talk about, when I really thought about it more and more, is that how, like, what has changed? What has changed? Because it used to be so rare. It used to be like in the 1800s, like the rates of infidelity were like less than 1%. Like less than 1%. Think about that for a second. Think about that for a second. The rates of infidelity were close to less. Hold on a second. I'm looking down because this computer's glitching a little bit. But the rates of infidelity were less than 1%. So what has changed? Look at what has happened since the advent of photography, where you can capture naked, erotic photos, and since the advent of internet porn, the infidelity rates have skyrocketed. Skyrocketed. What I'm saying, it's not human nature to be sexually attracted to other people in a relationship. We have been brainwashed by culture and the media and by porn. Like, look, like probably almost every person has looked at porn at least once in their life. There's certain cultural scripts on those and porn that creates this expectation of what love should be. So the reason you have so many people that flat out deny and call you a liar, oh, you're not just a sexual attract to your really? Like, why do you think that's so the fact not only the fact that you think that's so unusual for that to even be true, but you're attacking me as if I'm some liar because of that? That shows that there's an insecurity. People don't want to believe that because it would make them feel bad about themselves. It would make them realize they've never actually had a real love. That's the truth. They don't want it's cognitive dissonance. They don't want to accept that as proof. They feel bad about themselves, and for lack of a better word, they feel like a slut. And I truly believe that. And so no one wants. There's some things that people don't want to believe. They refuse to believe because if they chose to believe it, it would change their identity in a fundamental way. And so, what I wanted to talk about, to elaborate on the whole porn thing, is that, like the infidelity, like, what does that show? That, like, what has porn done to culture? Porn has made it so unhealthy sexual desire and sex are inexplicably intertwined. And what I mean by that is that, to me, sex is the ultimate manifestation of love. Like, so we've been brainwashed by the media and by the sexualization of culture to think that sex is this dirty thing. And it's with someone you love. It's the most beautiful, profound thing that could happen to you. Like, why do you think they call it making love? I mean, you're literally one person. You're inside of someone. It is the most intimate thing you could do with someone. Meaning, it's the most sacred thing you could do with someone, and it's the ultimate manifestation of love. Now, not everyone views it like that, but that's what it is intended for. That's why they call it lovemaking. Lovemaking, So, and that's why that phrase is so popular, and people perpetuate that. And so, I mean, like there's certain things that that perpetuate and disseminate around across the public, and there's so many cultural shifts throughout society. There's so many cultural shifts, and when you look at the advent of porn and access to easy access to this on internet technology, like the fact that the infidelity rates went so higher, I'd reckon to say it's impossible to only be attracted to your partner if you watch porn. It's hardwired to change how you see women, to demean women. Like, it's an agenda to sexualize culture. They want to sexualize. What is porn? The porn industry wants nothing else to sexualize culture. That means more money. That means more money. So that's why so many people think it's impossible to only be attracted to one person, because the media and things like porn create these cultural scripts where they make you believe that. It's not like I said, the infidelity rate was like less than 1%. It was taboo. It was not. It was very rare. And so the fact that it's so prevalent. Oh, and what else is prevalent? Internet porn, and you can take pictures of naked people now, and so it just coincides with this. I mean, to me, it really seems like people don't have intimacy with their partners, and that's why they don't. They stray sexually from their partner. That, like I said, it's been proven. It's a scientific psychological fact that it is possible to only be sexually attracted to one person. And it's like I said, it's not only easy, it's to be expected. And just I'm just looking at my notes a little bit more, and so I think that some people need a spiritual